Okay, it's 6:45. I'm calling the meeting to order. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
How is everybody?
Good.
That's good. Sorry I missed last week, but I was stuck in Portland without my computer, so I finally got home Tuesday afternoon, so.
Oh,
But I did have a good trip to see my daughter in Hawaii.
you went to Hawaii or you met her in Portland?
No, I flew to Hawaii, but I had to stop in Portland on the way home.
Yeah,
In that boutique air from Portland to Pendleton,
yeah.
they canceled the flights because of mechanical issues and no mechanic to fix it.
Oh,
So that happens, but I got home the next day. Was happy to see my Janice.
yeah.
So Eric is not going to be here?
Yeah, I can be general evaluator.
Okay.
And we already knew that Beth wasn't going to be here today. She said she was out of town.
Okay. Okay, we got that all taken care of. Who would like to read the mission statement for Toastmasters?
I can do that.
Okay, go for it, Levon.
The mission of a Toastmasters Club is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop communication and leadership skills, which in turn fosters self-confidence and personal growth.
Thank you. That's what we all strive for in Toastmasters. I try to organize my desk here. So I will introduce myself. I am the Toastmaster today, and I didn't come up with a theme. So roses.
Okay.
We'll have roses as the theme.
Roses?
Roses. My mother used to grow roses, and she was really adept at growing them. She took care of them. She babied them. She even had the John F. Kennedy rose. And that was a beautiful rose. So now, as your Toastmaster, Darlene, would you like to give us the word of the day?
Yes, the word of the day today is elicit. E-L-I-C-I-T. It means to get a response or information, etc., from someone. So if I use it in a sentence, the final amount raised by the charity walk elicited cheers from the crowd. Elicit. Or the teacher's question elicited no response. So you can use elicit or elicited.
Okay, thank you. And you are also our joke master and motivational quote of the day.
Yes. Why did the Clydesdale give the pony a glass of water? Because he was a little horse.
That was a good one.
All right, the quote for the day. Home is any four walls that enclose the right person.
Oh, that is cool.
And that was attributed to Helen Rowland. I'm not sure who that is, but
Okay,
the name that was on the quote.
all righty, that's good. And Jim, as our general evaluator, would you describe your job and introduce your team, please?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. Just food for thought. You elicited a thought from me that when I was 10 years old, I almost lost my life. And the reason that happened was because I had to spray Roundup on some weeds around my mother's roses. And guess what? I almost killed all the roses that she had planted. And she was really, really mad at me because I didn't realize that Roundup would kill the roses. Anyway, half of them came back, but it elicited those memories of, wow, roses can be a thorn in your side sometimes. Okay, our timer today is Darlene. Darlene, tell us what your job is as a timer.
Yes, my job as a timer today is to time the speeches of all kinds, the prepared speech, the table topics, and the evaluation. When the minimum time has been reached, let's see if I can do this. Yes, the appropriate time has been reached, a green screen will show up. When you're halfway between that minimum time and maximum time, a yellow screen will show up. And when you've reached maximum time, a red screen will show up. And then once the red screen shows up, you have 30 seconds to wrap it up. I will
Thank
also
you.
be collecting votes.
Thank you very much, Madam Timer. Yes, be sure and get those votes in for best speaker, most improved speaker, and best table topics. Today, I am also the grammarian, so I will be counting the times that people use a word correctly elicit from the individuals. Of course, Darlene, she can use a word many times, but she won't get any credit for using the word elicit. And I am keeping good track. I am also listening for good phrases or unusual words that we may have not heard for a while. I will also report on how our meeting went and what we can do to improve our meetings. That is my job as general evaluator. Take it away, Madam Toastmaster Mary.
Thank you very much. And today I will introduce our speaker. It doesn't say what you're speaking on today, Greg, but are you speaking from a Pathways?
Well, I can give a speech about something random. I have not prepared one, if that is what you want to know.
Okay, well, I will introduce our speaker today, and that is Greg, and he will give us a pocket speech today. Take it
All
away,
right.
Greg.
Thank you, Mary. I appreciate the introduction there and the peer pressure that was elicited by the group to make me give my second speech ever to the Toastmasters Club. So I had several things that I thought about talking to you about, and I thought cows was just going to be a fun one. So I would like to describe the auction cattle purchasing experience to you. It goes back to my childhood, where we had very fond memories of hauling our cows to the auction in the back of pickup trucks, where we would put these big wooden racks in the back, and we would drive them for about an hour to the Lebanon livestock auction, which nobody hauls cows in the back of their trucks anymore these days. Trucks just aren't built like they used to be, I guess. Nor do I understand how that ever could have been safe 30 years ago either. But I distinctly remember doing it. And not only did we do it once, but that was just how we moved cows around. So once you haul your cows to the auction, there's usually a long line of other people on that day delivering their livestock to the auction, and you gotta wait in line. And you give them load tickets when you get there. And so it's illegal in Oregon to haul livestock without a load ticket, also known as a transportation slip. So the transportation slip identifies how many cows you have in your truck, and if they're branded, they have ear tags, as well as if they're male or female or a steer, which is also known as a cow or a heifer or a bull. And so this is in case if you get pulled over by the local sheriff and he asks you where your cows came from, you have some documentation that says they're yours with you in the pickup. And he's not going to accuse you of running off with the neighbor's cows. So you hand the guy your load ticket at the auction yard, and they sort them out. So they prepare them for the auction ring. But that's really the last time you see them. They put them back in some pins in the back corner. And this is what you do if you're selling, because at this point you can leave, or you can choose to stay and wait for them to go through the ring and see what they go for. So if you're on the buying side, at this time, you're standing outside the loading deck watching these cows come out of the back of the truck, or in today's world, a modern trailer that you see going down the road. And you sit there and you're watching the cows come out of the trailer because you want to know what they're like. You want to know what their temperament's like. You want to know if they look sick. You want to know if they're walking around with a bad leg. Because if you're buying, you don't want an injured or sick animal to come home and infect your current herd that you have. And it's also nice to know if they're really wild. It might be perfectly healthy, but you got to watch out for the guy that brings one cow to the auction, because he's fed up with that cow. He's done, and he's taking that thing in there because it's cleared and smashed every fence that he owns. And so he's just getting rid of it himself and trying to make it your problem. This is perfectly legal, and quite frankly, everyone does it, because these cows just keep going through people until they meet their fate at McDonald's, which is what normally happens to a cow that smashes your fences. So, and anyone that's had cows has had a few cows that smash fences. They all go to McDonald's. It's the only good place for them. They're actually begging you to go there. So while you're standing outside the loading dock watching the cows come off the trailers, you're getting a pretty good idea of the quality of the day. And you can also, most people don't know this, but you can actually walk around the livestock yard, back in behind you open gates and you can go out and look at animals. You can even let cows out of pens and run them up and down the alleyway to really get a good look at them, as long as you put them back in the right pen. And usually auctions start between 11 in the morning and 1. And hamburger cows always go first. So those are the cows that jump the fences. Those are also old dairy cows that aren't producing milk anymore. So you see a lot of Jerseys and Holsteins that are just strictly going to McDonald's. After that go feeder bulls, which are old bulls that are no longer good for breeding. Or sometimes they can be young bulls that somebody's used them and just doesn't need them anymore, so they take them to the auction. And oftentimes there's communication between the buyers and sellers over, are they vaccinated, are they not? Would that be a good bull for my herd, genetics? And this is all on honesty. Typically you don't want to go around lying at the auction, especially if you're going to take more than one down there, because people figure out really fast if you're not being honest. It might work once, but it's not a good long-term plan. And so the communication's occurring as these cows are coming through the ring, and the auctioneer is always yelling off the dollar per price first, and he's kind of rumbling along. $1, $45, $45, $70, $70, 75, and you got to listen really closely, because 75 cents and $1.75 is a big difference when you're buying cows at the auction. So it's really important to pay attention to that. So after all the cows go through the ring, it's now time to go pick up your check if you're selling. And so the Packers and Stalkers Act requires them to give you your check within 3 days. They actually will give it to you that day. So as soon as your cows go through the ring and the amount has been decided, you just simply go down to the main office and give them your seller number or bidder number, and you can pay your money if you're buying, or you can pick up your check right there, and then you go home. So with that, my time is up. I didn't even get a chance to discuss the amazing food at the auction. They have the best hamburgers in the world at the auction yard, and that's, I would go there just for lunch. So thank you guys very much for your time this morning. Have a great day.
Thank you. That was a very good speech about the stockyards. I know they do that for horses too. So, but I've never been to one. The only one I've been to is when my stepdad wanted to buy a broke down racehorse. Glad he didn't.
That be a
Nice.
walking horse?
It was, the horse was still walking, but its racing days were pretty much over. So, because I used to go to horse races a lot with my stepdad and mom when they would go. So I've like been to Pimlico. I've been to the Seattle racetrack. There used to be a racetrack in Spokane, believe it or not. Portland Meadows. I got to see Seattle Slew in person. Didn't get to see Secretariat, but I got to see Seattle Slew in person. He was a Triple Crown winner after Secretariat, I believe, if I got my history right on horse racing. But I've seen pictures, and if you go to the stock channel, you can watch them there, where they just, you see them all go through and you hear the bidding going on. So now we will do table topics, and our table topics master is Jim. Take it away, Jim.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. Yes, that was a very interesting speech. As I wrote down some great phrases that you'll get to hear later on. Darlene, today is roses for our theme. What is your thought on roses and why? Take it away, Darlene.
Thank you. Just yesterday, I took my clippers out and started pruning some of my roses that are desperately overdue for being pruned. And I'm hoping that there's one of my rose plants that I'm hoping it's still alive. And I'm going to need my husband to come out with his, the stems were too thick for me to cut with my little pruners. So I'm going to need some assistance for getting some of the old canes out of the roses. Roses are important because they kind of elicit love, the feeling of love when you look at them. They're beautiful. And if you've got an heirloom rose, it has a wonderful smell also, the smell of roses, which I know some people are allergic to them, but I'm not, thankfully. I love roses. I wouldn't say they're my favorite flower, but I do love them. In my little rose patch, I have a couple of red ones. I have an orange one and a yellow one. And I have a pink one. And I have a salmon colored one. They're not all together. Most of them are together in one little plot, but then I've got a couple in some random other spots in the yard. And so my thought on roses, everybody should have at least one rose bush in their yard, just to remind them that what the world needs now is love. Love, sweet love. And with that, I will turn it back over to our table topic master, Jim.
Thank you very much. On today, again, the theme is roses, And I'd like to elicit some thoughts from you on what you think about gardening and whether it should be outlawed.
Well, thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. Since your wife is a gardener, I don't think you should be asking that question. No, gardening should not be outlawed. Without gardening, we wouldn't be able to get our hands in the dirt. We wouldn't be able to watch things grow. We wouldn't be able to cuss the bad weather. Gardening is very therapeutic for a lot of people. And I think it's very important, if you like gardening, to grow what you want to grow and eat what you grow. I listen to a lot of gardening videos and get a lot of information on things that I don't know. The MI Gardener guy has well, there's just a lot of people out there that have a lot of good information. And so you glean from it what you need and what you want to do and how you want to grow and how to water and how to take care of plants. So yes, gardening should not be outlawed. Shame on you. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Well, Levon, thank you very much. That was food for thought, though. And Levon is right, because actually, if we didn't do any gardening, we would actually not survive in this world. It's really interesting. Mary, you went to Hawaii last week, and I've never been there. I had a sister that lived there, and of course, I had another sister that worked for Horizon. So my mom was able to fly over to Hawaii many, many times when my other sister lived there. Tell us, what did you do in Hawaii the week you were there? Did you go any place special? And did you fall into the tourist traps? Or did your daughter know where to stay out of those dens of iniquity where you could lose all your money? Because I know that's one thing my sister did say, that you need to know where to go so you don't get ripped off. Take it away, Mary, and tell us a couple of minutes about how your trip went.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master and fellow Toastmasters. This trip to Hawaii was to spend it with my daughter for her birthday. She turned 42 this month. And so I was just there to spend it with her. I got in there Thursday night, and she went to work for half a day on Friday, and the rest of the day we spent together. We went to the North Shore, and there's a lot of traffic out there. And yes, I did stay away from the tourist traps because my daughter has lived there for quite a few years, so she knows all those things. I did the touristy thing the first time I went there. So we went to North Shore. It was a nice visit. We got to see the beach. I'm not much of a beach person, but I like seeing the beach. And what was really, really cool about that day was you could see the mountains were over here. And then over in this area, you could see rain coming down. And it was coming down in the water. And you can tell it was. And then as the rain moved out onto the water, you could see the waves coming in much stronger. And then you could see the people actually getting up and surfing. And then while I was there, we got to see the Hawaii Youth Symphony, got to hear them. That was awesome. And I picked myself up a couple of shells, left one with her, and brought one home with me. So the whole trip was just to spend time with my daughter and my grandpuppy Kona. And I had a blast. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Mary. Greg, you said that you were going to talk about something else. So maybe in 1 to 2 minutes, tell us what you were going to talk about after the cows going to the meat market. Go ahead and take it away, Greg.
Well, thank you, Jim. It actually fits in perfectly with the roses theme. In college, I was the student body president at Oregon State, Cascades and Bend, where I had to give a commencement speech at graduation. And it talked about me planting 1,000 lily bulbs for my grandmother. She wouldn't let me use the car to go fishing until all of the bulbs were planted. The problem was she already had a beautiful garden, so you dig up 5 bulbs to plant 1 more. It was ridiculous. So I started using a golf club and a baseball bat, and I was hammering home runs out into the fields, out into the cattle pasture. I even took 2 sacks, almost 400 bulbs, and dumped them in the compost pile to get rid of them. The problem is they grew. And my grandma caught me because there were lily bulbs growing in the cattle pasture. They had the most beautiful compost bin you ever saw in your life. And the moral of the story was basically the fruit of your labor will always be seen. So do a good job, because you don't want people to see you doing bad things. So with that, that's yes, gardening should be outlawed, because some people have too big of gardens and they need to be smaller. Have a great... Back to you, Jim.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. Greg, that was very interesting. I'm glad we think alike. Now it's time. I'm putting my hat on as general evaluator. Our meeting started on time. Great speech. We heard some great table topics. We just room for improvement at this time is just to get more members. And I know for some reason, I think we will pick up our members when we get to be in person. It's just one of those things that one thing that we are looking at, and one thing that we've discussed as a club, is to get the meeting where Beth can attend as well, because she lives so far, but having the rest of us there. And of course, the 3rd Tuesday of the month, breakfast, I miss that as well. So that's something that I think we can encourage our new people is, hey, we do have a breakfast every 3rd Tuesday. Now it's time to hear from LaVon, our evaluator, who will be evaluating Greg's speech. Take it away, LaVon.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master and Evaluator and whatever else you are today. Greg, I really enjoyed your speech about cows, having had a few of my own. I've never been to a sale where we sold them, but I have been to auctions to watch, and it's very fascinating. And yes, any auction, you need to pay attention to the auctioneer and sit on your hands if you're not buying, so they don't, think you want that particular cow or bull. Your voice was very clear. Your language was very clear. Since you raised cows, your knowledge was very good. Vocal variety, you had a good tone up and down, and a little bit of laughter. And eye contact, I think we can all work on, because it looked like you were shifting your eyes around, which I'm very guilty of myself. You're very comfortable with your speech. And I look forward to hearing the rest of it, whatever you were going to tell us. So maybe you can do that again in a couple weeks. I think you had all of our attention with how auctions go and the ups and downs of it. I really liked the hamburger cows being at McDonald's. I don't know that I will look at a hamburger from McDonald's the same way again. They usually have good food at auctions, so that was good too. So thank you, Greg, and we'll look forward to seeing or hearing your next speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Levon. Excellent evaluation. A lot of good information. Now it's time for our timers report, and please vote for the best table topics and the most improved speaker. That's something that's really, really important to do. Take it away, Madam Timer. Darlene, tell us how we did today.
Yes. Greg's speech was 7 minutes and 22 seconds. Table topics. Greg was 1 minute 38. Mary was 2 minutes 13. Levon was 1 minute 10. I was 1 minute 58. And Levon's evaluation was, just a second, I gotta find where I wrote it down. I didn't write it down. I looked at it on the, oh, I still have it on my screen. 2 minutes and 9 seconds. That is my report. Don't forget to send votes to me if you haven't already.
Thank you very much, Madam Timer. Yes, get those votes into Darlene. She doesn't ask for money.
You don't.
Now it's time for the grammarian's report. I really like the phrase "meet their fate at McDonald's," Greg. And one thing I never even thought about that really, as far as McDonald's being the #1 person for their having hamburger patties. One thing that I've always looked at McDonald's, over the years, their patties have gotten a lot smaller. And I find that very interesting because when you see their commercials on TV, their hamburger patties are really big. And I'm not sure why they're allowed to do that. And then another phrase that I liked was the cows that go for a hamburger, or they're the first to go. And I'd like to hear a little bit more about why they make that decision. And something else that I like this phrase was ear tags. What I find interesting about ear tags is, believe it or not, women have been wearing ear tags for a long, long time. I mean, I bet they've been wearing ear tags longer than cows have. I remember that I growing up on the ranch, I asked, how come they put those ear tags in them? And doesn't it hurt? And my dad said, well, it's no different than a woman putting an ear tag in their ear. I mean, it doesn't hurt them very long. And the thing about putting the ear tag in, you can remove it, and when you buy the cow, you can put a different ear tag in it. I mean, so it's not going to hurt them. But I thought that was interesting, calling it an ear tag, because some of them ear tags look more beautiful than the earrings I've seen women wear. Just a side note there. Okay, Greg used the word of the day once. I didn't hear anybody else use the word of the day besides myself. I used it 4 times. One thing I'd like us to try to use the word more often, because it's good to use that word of the day. Sometimes when the person chooses a word of the day, they have to think a lot to get the word of the day out. And we've had some really great word of the days. I think of the one we had 2 weeks ago, which was a great word of the day. I don't know if you guys remember it, but I do. And only because I won the word of the day, it was sizzle, which was brought by Mary. And it makes me think every time the word of the day comes up, we should be using it throughout the week. The Wizard of Oz. I was really impressed with Lavon. She received the the Wizard of Oz. That is my report, Madam Toastmaster, for today's meeting. Take it away, Mary.
Thank you. We had a very good meeting today, and I really did enjoy your speech, Greg. All our table topics are really good as well. Now, just make sure you get your votes to Darlene so she can get them to me and I can announce them. So let's see. I don't know, I'm at a loss for words today. Maybe because I haven't had coffee or something. Oh, I got a housing inspection, so I'm kind of, my mind's somewhere else. So, but anybody else have any announcements to make while we wait for the votes to get in?
Mary just said I'm keeping my ears to the ground as far as when we're going to be able to meet at this City Hall again at the community room. I haven't heard, and I'm going to send another message in today because I think with everything opening up, I think it's important to stay on top of that issue.
Okay, thank you. It looks like we're tied for table topics between Greg and myself. Congratulations, Greg, we tied. Most improved speaker is Greg. Congratulations. So we've got that taken care of. So let's start filling the roles for next week. Darlene?
Yes. For next week, what I have already is Jim for grammarian. Lee is our speaker next week, and Jim is word of the day. It means you can't win next week, Jim.
Looks like Lavon in the chat said she can do table topics.
Okay. Yvonne for table topics.
I can be general evaluator.
Mary for general evaluator. I can be Lee's speech evaluator.
Do we want Beth as Toastmaster next week?
Okay with me.
Okay, let's put Beth in. And Greg, how about being timer?
Sure. Sounds great.
Okay, Greg for timer. And let's put Eric down for joke and quote.
Okay.
And then May 10th, I'll be the Toastmaster. And the theme will be Mayflowers. That's on May 10th.
I find that a little, he who does not like gardening picks flowers as a theme. Because
Okay.
flowers are just as much gardening as food is, you know.
Yeah.
And some of them are edible.
Okay, so is that have we got the roles filled then for next week? All right.
I believe so, yes.
So any other announcements we have? Any upcoming meetings or anything?
Well, we need to make sure that we think about who we want for our officers for next year, starting for July, and we're supposed to vote in May. Theoretically, we're supposed to vote the first meeting in May. It's truth be, a lot of clubs just make sure they get it done before the end of June, but we are supposed to do it in May. So be thinking about that. how we want to rearrange ourselves.
And then, just so everybody knows, Beth did qualify to be the evaluation contest at the District 9 conference, which, right, Darlene? No,
No, division.
division contest.
Just to win division before she can go to.
Yes, right, division. So that's really good, and that's good news. So.
Yeah, that is good news. Okay, anything else for anybody?
When is the division contest, and is it in person or is it on Zoom or some other?
It's on Zoom.
And what day is it, Darlene?
I believe it's the 23rd.
Of this month.
Yeah, division is this month.
Yes.
And then district is in-
Saturday. Well, Saturday. Oh, shoot.
It's either Friday or Saturday, and I'll have to double check on I think the 23rd is a Saturday. Actually, yeah. I'm looking at my
Which
calendar.
website is that on?
It's okay if you go to the tmd9.org and click on their calendar, it should have something there where you can get to it. Or if you click on where it says contests, and I don't remember if there's a link to the division contest
Okay.
there or not.
Okay.
Do they record those so you can watch them later?
I didn't catch the question.
Do they are the speeches recorded so you can watch them later?
Yes,
That's good to know.
I'm in Portland next Saturday. My stepmother's 90th birthday next Saturday.
Oh. That's a milestone. Tell her a happy birthday from us.
Yeah.
Okay, there's nothing else. I will adjourn the meeting early, and you can all have a wonderful day today.
Have a great
Meeting is
weekend.
adjourned.
Bye.
Bye-bye.